So, welcome to the panel, everybody. Um, I just will start introducing everyone, and the first person I have on screen is Maritza. So, thank you for being here, Maritza. I'm very interested in how Adidas is working on change and is working change in these digital times. So, can you give us a 5-minute heads up on what is your challenge at the moment?
Sure. Well, to be honest, thanks for inviting me to the panel. First of all, it's a pleasure to be on this online conference. And I think it's challenging times for everyone, not only on this call, for everyone in the world. It's a very exceptional situation, so we try to deal with it as best as we could. We have been lucky within Adidas that we were, before the Corona situation, we were already very well equipped to work from multiple locations, work from home. So we were actually a bit spoiled, to be honest. And it was an easy switch to work from home in that sense that we were digitally equipped to do so. However, that's only one small bit of where change came in unexpectedly. So I'm happy to deep dive a bit and share a bit on and keep it very close to my corner, actually, how I try to keep the team motivated and how we try to keep each other motivated. And instead of me holding my own monologue from my own thoughts, I've been asking my team to share their honest feedback, either positive or negative, with me. And I took like the download from their feedback. Contextualizing it a bit, it's a small team that I'm leading. Our scope of responsibility is very much on OTIF, on time and full, performance on the marketing side. So anything related to marketing campaigns, and the delivery on time and full from global teams to market teams, and then executing those campaigns where you see online on the .com, in the retail stores, and everywhere where you see Adidas and the 3 stripes coming up. So that was our scope. My team is very small. It's based in different locations, and actually being worked or forced to work from home. The first thing I did was ask myself and the team was, how do we make sure that we still are in a safe space as a team? How do we make sure that we still are one team, whereas we're not physically meeting each other regularly or see each other daily in the office? So the first thing I did was actually set up a daily coffee corner catch-up virtually. Everyone in the team joined, and it was only for 10 or 15 minutes to discuss what is going on, not only work-wise, but specifically, especially in the first weeks when we were facing a lockdown. What is actually going on in your world, in your life, which everyone needed to cope with, finding a new routine, with working from home, not seeing the office atmosphere is different than the personal one. And all of a sudden you need to combine that into one. What does that make you feel? What does that mean can you do your job as you used to? You have, well, for me personally, I had all of a sudden small kids running around when I was trying to do my job. And so were people in my team as well. So we actually created that open space, and everyone was okay to share, like, hey, today I'm feeling a bit stressed, or I don't know how to do my job currently. And it was fine. It was fine. Just creating that safety to speak up and to help each other out. And it was only 10 minutes. And sometimes it was a daily call. But that was the main feedback from my team. That call kept us motivated, kept us sane, and kept us all involved in what was needed to be done. And the second key topic, which I wanted to share with you, is that immediately we started questioning ourselves. Do we need to repurpose our goal, our team existence, what we are doing? Does it still make sense in the current world, or there is a big fire going on, there's a bit unexpected change? How can we help best instead of just following our own routine, which in our case was reporting on time in full? Well, with the COVID unexpected situation, we were pretty sure that there would be delays anyway. So we kind of repurposed our own team existence by saying, like, we're not going to run our standard reporting anymore, but we're going to help out. Where can we make sure that we minimize the delay in case we foresee it? And also, how could we enable that transparency? What is going on, what is needed, and look into the future? So we actually spend our time quite a lot on deep diving what is actually happening and how do we make sure that we are future-proof, which increased our team motivation as well, both for the individuals. And that's also something that I appreciated coming back from the team, actually. They were mentioning they felt appreciated that they were kind of thrown in the deep, if you will, but coming up with their own solutions and bringing out that brought out the best in the individuals, and they felt like they could contribute to the bigger picture.
Are you still working full-time from home at the moment? Or is there already any return to the office?
Well, you see behind me, that's very much an Adidas picture. I'm actually today in the office, and it is the office has equipped and facilitated coming back to the office with strict measures. So there's corporate a very good crisis management or change management involved. So we are okay to come in the office with restricted a number of people, actually. So we need to sign up first. The majority is still working from home quite a lot, including myself. But we're now at a stage where we're trying to meet, I'm trying to meet my team once, at least one day in 2 weeks, and ideally one day a week, which is good.
And can you meet the entire team?
No, because one person is actually based in a completely different location, different country.
Okay.
And it was actually also a good learning, unexpected, from setting up these daily coffee corner catch-ups. Everyone physically brought their coffee, and it's kind of joined us all together and made us even more one team, because the person in the other location all of a sudden was just as far away as we all were. We were all in different locations, so it kind of balanced it out very well. And that is also where we agreed, like, if we go back to full-time office days, if that ever happens again, we're going to keep these virtual coffee sessions because it's helping. It's helping really a lot, for our team at least.
I think you just noticed something very interesting, like if that's ever going to happen again. And that is actually the question we are putting on the table at the moment in our company. Like, are we ever going back to the way it was before? And we are still not looking at returning to the office with our full team or being able to see our colleagues regularly, which in my team, a lot of our work depends on at the moment or before. Like we did change by literally speaking to the people over a coffee. And we notice at the moment that a digital coffee is not the same than a real coffee because, we miss nuances, we miss in-depth. So that's really something we are struggling with at the moment. So also in the chat for the people listening, I'm really looking for inspiration on how do you manage a big strategic change in your company purely digital, because you lose a lot of the emotional connection you have with people. We are at the moment in our team, we are really depending on the connections we already had. And I feel they are coming at the limit after 7 months or fully home working. I'm still at home, as you can see. I try to find my most neutral background. But maybe we
can I ask? Sorry for interrupting, Kirsten. But can I ask you a question? Is everyone on the digital meetings? Is everyone switching on their camera?
No, because we introduced it. At first we could not. Because of the bandwidth. We were already working a lot from home, but we did not have the bandwidth to enable everybody to switch on their videos. And when we upgraded the bandwidth technically to enable it, people said, like, I do not like sharing my camera, so please let it off. And I noticed still people do not do it. So I don't want to obligate them. And I also have the feeling that even in a one-on-one call, if the camera is on, people are not telling everything to me that they would be telling to me if I see them face to face. And I put it to the test. I start a little bit of a rebel action. I hope my boss is not in the meeting. I started meeting people for real. Although we are still officially working 100% from home, I started inviting people for a lunch or for a coffee in the neighborhood because I live 5 minutes from the office. So I know a lot of my colleagues live in the same city as me. So I started inviting them for just a casual coffee, and I noticed for myself that I get a lot of the information on what is going on in the company or with the people from talking to them over a real coffee. And I'm not getting that information when I talk to them on a digital coffee. So I was wondering, am I the only person who has to break the rules to get things done? Or do other people also struggle with it? So thank you, Michael Banks, for supporting me in the chat.
I have to say, sorry, Kirsten, I was just going to interject. I do agree with you that when you try to do everything virtually, I think from my perspective, for the first few months, it's been fine. But actually, as time goes on, I think that we lose that informal conversation and those kind of relationships, which otherwise are very important, in an office situation where you maybe just exchange a little bit kind of what's going on and, around the office, a bit of office gossip and things like that. And actually, those things are very important. And I also think that we have become a little less efficient, funnily enough, by spending more time at home, because I found that there are actually more distractions. I found that I get more distracted going from one task to the next, and a little less able to just focus on one task at a time, strangely enough, almost counterintuitively. I think those are some of the things that I found, certainly from doing a lot of time sitting at this desk in this home office. So time will tell, but I do believe that there are ways, and I know Joe has been working hard in terms of helping us as teams to be much more engaged and at Britvic, and some of those things have been really, really good, and which I think Joe is going to talk about later. So there are solutions.
Yeah, and I echo that. Actually, it's virtual meetings are not replacing the actual interaction. If you see and meet people face to face, absolutely not. With the virtual coffee corner catch-ups, we were only talking about personal information sharing, or it was not focused on work-related topics from the beginning. It was always like, how are you feeling? How are you? Very much the personal touch to it. And then, is there anything we need to discuss about work to stay connected? Because the work-related dialogue comes in other virtual meetings anyway. So there were even, we had our party call on Fridays where it was like, and back to the switching on the cameras, where we were like coming up with surprises, funny sunglasses, or loud music all of a sudden, just as to bring a bit more fun and not only have virtual meetings that are related to work and to performance and to driving improvements on the work side. So the personal touch is what we try to achieve with the virtual coffee catch-ups, and it helped to have a small team. And I think the switching on the cameras was the key changer for us. I feel I get disconnected when I'm not switching on my camera. And to be honest, I don't feel comfortable doing so. I mean, I didn't feel comfortable in the beginning doing so, but I was also appreciating it so much when other people were sharing their videos. So I made a conscious decision. There's probably not a single time where I look perfect. So let's switch it on all the time, you know? So.
Yeah. I see in the chat a lot of people are recognizing the situation. I also see Els van Dalen from KBC. Speaking about something that I recognize a lot, even when you go back to headquarters, we had it for a very small period in the summer vacation where we could return to the office before infection numbers were increasing. And it felt a little bit spooky because you're almost working alone at your desk. We are used to having an island with a lot of hustle going on around us, and all of a sudden you're sitting on your own with an entire floor almost for yourself, because there's a limit to how much time you can come to the office, how much people you can see. It's very formalized. So again, it feels a little bit spooky there, and you do not get the interaction that you need. So there we go. Kinga, you also had something prepared to share? Oh, I think your sound is off. Yeah, there you are. Is it only me that is not hearing Kinga?
No, I can't hear her either, Kirsten.
No.
No.
I see she's working on it. Are you there, Kinga? I was very much looking forward to the things she had to say, because she had a presentation last year. Oh, so sorry, Kinga. But then I will switch to Andrew while Kinga is hopefully working on the technical issues. Leaving the call works, I noticed.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that, you know, one of the important things was the technical admin side of things, and for managing offline working or at home working. And I think that has been one of my learnings as well. But we'll come on to that. Look, my role at Britvic is I actually run a consultancy from home primarily. And I came into Britvic specifically about a year ago and started working on a change project program about e-commerce transformation. And obviously there's two sides, therefore, to what I have witnessed in terms of the COVID-19. One aspect has been that e-commerce the agenda has accelerated pretty rapidly. So what was a 5-year plan in Britvic has effectively become a 1 to maybe 18-month plan. And so that's a pretty fast acceleration program for any change project. And so dealing with that has been really interesting. But I think at the same time as that, you know, we've also been moving from not just going quicker, but doing it from an environment which was in the office environment to one which, of course, has been at home. So I sort of think that's a little bit like going off the starting blocks in a Formula One racing car. You know, your foot hard down on the accelerator, trying to speed up this change program, but now doing it whilst you're going round a roundabout, where the opportunity for chaos is pretty high. I think there's two things I would say that have been really important in Britvic, which have meant that we've embraced that, I think, successfully, more or less, not perfectly. But first of all is that the change program itself, we had a very clear process and approach in terms of, setting a clear, simple vision, engaging key stakeholders and being very selective about who those stakeholders were, setting up a sort of a capability building program. And this was started before COVID-19 hit, trying to engage the entire organization and bring them together around and sort of upskill everyone in e-com, rather than sort of it being just a black box specialization. And then also setting some simple KPIs as well, like some simple measures that everyone could follow. So those are the things that I suppose are kind of generic to most successful change programs. But because we've been clear on those, that's helped us to be able to do that, I would say, quite, to adapt to COVID-19 and the working at home more easily than if we'd had a less structured approach. The other part, though, specifically about moving to home working, there are some small things that I think are really important. So, as I said, I'm a contractor, actually. And I work sort of 3 days a week inside Britvic. I think the things that are really helpful are things like the admin, and that's why my tech point was that. Well, at Britvic, we're brilliant. The things that people often we like to sort of think that big companies will do badly. Like, I got a phone and my laptop actually arrived literally, on the day that I was sort of starting, and I opened them up and they work perfectly. And those things, like the investment in those resources of tech and admin and sort of helping employees to be set up properly, just, they make such a huge difference to feeling that you're part of the team and that you're one of the team. And so I think that's one of the sort of the things that needs to be done really well. The other part for me has been the daily meetings. And again, someone talked about this earlier. I think Maritza talked about this, that having a 15-minute meeting with my ecom team has been brilliant every single day. And we just, and sometimes we talk about like non-work things, and sometimes, but we do talk about the priorities for the week, what's everyone doing, because keeping in contact with what each person is doing is really, really important. Keeping in contact with, what priorities everyone is working on, I think is really, really important. So that daily meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning is fundamental to working at home.
And everybody keeps showing up to these.
Yeah, I mean, it's so small team. So, and I think Joe will talk about big team, but within the e-commerce team, which is relatively small, we connect together. So it's 4 or 5 people. And it's just really helpful, to keep that bond together within your micro team, as it were. And so yeah, everyone does show up, and that's been great. And I think they show up as well because it's not always kind of work. Something, it's a bit kind of chat as well. The level and stuff.
Yeah. Because I very much recognize what Anna Marie Conturios, I'm very sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly, but I recognize what she puts in the chat. Like, people are starting to see these virtual catch-ups as a waste of time, and they stop showing up. So we also introduced these things, and we also introduced things like a monthly quiz with the department. The first quiz, we were with 100 people, and now we're with 20. And we notice people are not showing up anymore because they say, I have a lot of things to do. I have no time for this. And they do not see it as a valuable team building opportunity. So I'm very interested in how that would work.
So certainly, I think one of the things for me, which is important, is that keeping those teams small. So as I said, this is not the full kind of, this is not Joe's empire, as he'll talk about, the sort of 100 people. This is the 5 people who work, who are really driving the e-commerce agenda. And so it's much easier to do it in a small team. and also to do it for a very short amount of time. So we schedule half an hour, but frankly, often, it's 20 minutes, or it might even be 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. It's just long enough for each person to go around and say, like, how's it going? Check in. And, so what are we working on this today? And how are we getting on? And that sort of being able to help each other. And I would say as well, it's been facilitated by being on Teams, Microsoft Teams we use a lot in Britvic. And because, again, you can sort of chat sort of informally quite easily. And so that has been, I think, working pretty well, certainly within our team.
Kirsten, if I can just come in there as well,
Yeah.
I would say that I don't have anything like an empire, despite what Andrew said. So I'm talking about a team of 20 people, which is quite modest. Let's be honest about it. One of the big learnings I found is that, and I'm sure it's the same almost for everybody on here, is there's the old saying, isn't there? People do business with people, and I think Teams at its best has allowed me to get to know people in my team in a way I never thought I would. So most of us here, we're in each other's houses, which I never thought would happen. So I've met more pets, more partners, more kids than I'd ever thought I'd meet. And so if the people who work for me know that. And part of the reason I went off screen is because just on time, I had an Amazon delivery and the dog was going bananas in the background. So, it's human life. And I found things out about people I never thought I'd find out. And not everyone wants to share, and nor should they, but it's how you feel comfortable. The other bit I found is that I observed when we were an office-based team, and we were traditionally an office-based business. I mean, literally, we used to get an email on a Friday if their office was less than 50% utilised from some of the senior guys saying, "Why isn't everyone here?" And it's completely changed. There's been a big cultural moment and awakening for them. But I always used to observe my team we hot desk, and my team would want to sit together. And so what we worked out, and I worked out fairly early on in all of this, was creating time for them to be together, but time that isn't about the manager or the senior manager or the director or whatever your hierarchy is, but give them the time. And because we're a team of 20 in a relatively large UK organization, we have a people champion in the team. And so we gave it to the people champion and someone else and gave them some time and said, this is time for the team. This is time for you to come together and enjoy yourselves and have a bit of fun. And so they've been really clever, and we've done some silly things that, as a leader, I've joined in because I think that's really important, because actually I really enjoy it. I thought it was really good fun. So there's the alphabet game on a Friday where who can find the first 5 items in their house as quickly as possible that start with the same first letter, or what's the most random thing you can find. There's loads of silly things like that you can do. And then the other thing we've done as a group is actually I've been, and everyone will be the same, I've been quite concerned about people who live either on their own or who live in a 1-bedroom small apartment with someone else who's working from home and have very little space to go to. And so what we've done a few times is we've set up social events in the evening for people who just want to come together and do something. And we've organised, and Andrew, this week we did cocktail making. And so working for a drinks company, it was a great thing to do. So we got everyone a cocktail pack, sent it to their home and invited them to dial in, and we made a cocktail together. But we used it to do something else to then get people talking about how they're feeling, what they've been up to, who's doing what, where and when. So, and I'm sure there's much better ideas. I'd encourage people on the chat here. Sorry, I'm pointing to my right. That's where it is. But you share some of your ideas and some of your experiences. And we even had a little awards thing. We had an award for the most embarrassing moment online that I may share because the individual isn't here, that kind of stuff as to what happened. But it has been a wonderful experience. And as Michael's saying here, a cooking evening, I even found myself doing a cooking evening with my friends for our wives and girlfriends, which was great, actually, which was really good fun. So I think Teams has allowed us to connect in a different way, but it's not without its challenges and its issues that continue to be there regardless. And it's tough. So, and by the way, no, I'm not very good at making cocktails. I make them strong. So, you'll all get a good night's sleep, but
it might be fun.
I don't know, but I'm sure there's probably lots of cultural stuff that people have done together to work some stuff through. So,
yeah.
To add to that, one thing that I think, Joe, on that team event, the other thing that was really nice was it was, of course, very easy to invite partners as well. So to your point about getting to know people, and Joe actually made the point at that team evening, which was it's allowed us to meet partners and wives and husbands of of the people in our team. And of course, that you wouldn't want to sort of force that. But the reality is that it's great to include people, because in the end, when we work, very often our family or partners are there supporting us as well. So it's really nice to meet them as well. It's very loud keyboard, Joe.
Yeah, because I don't.
He's writing to me to tell me to shut up. Stop me.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing we discovered, chatting with each other through a chat box while you're in the same meeting. It's creating a whole new dimension in meetings for me.
Yeah.
Well, when you said, Joe, that your teenage son was making an appearing, I had a 3-year-old in the house. And here in Belgium, I don't know how it was in the other countries. The schools were in lockdown as well. So she was actually sitting beside me during a work day. And she's quite as dominant as her mother. And she was taking over my meetings. So she had very important points on the agenda, like this night I slept without a diaper.
Oh, wow.
And she was very determined to get it heard. And now schools are back open, and my boss is actually asking me from time to time, like, where's your daughter? We miss her in the meetings. So I was ashamed for it, that actually other people were liking it, that she gave a whole new dimension.
Can I actually relate to that, Kirsten? I've also 2 small kids who, from time to time, appearing as a Spider-Man in the background, or Robin Hood, or and also people on my team were joining the call sometime, and I actually discussed it in one of the daily. This was a typical topic to discuss and to ask, how do you feel about my kids sharing their appearance in our calls, and also kind of acknowledging to the people in the team it's okay. So we also had little daughter Nele from my colleague asking wo is die Maritza? It's like, and then it was fine. Give it a space. We're all working from home. We all have lives apart from our working lives, which every one of us has now a peek into, and you get to know your colleagues a bit better, and you get to understand better where they're coming from and how they live, and then allow for some extra life moments into the team calls.
I think as well, like, it's allowed us all to become more human. One of the more human, as it were, with our team and at work. I think that one of the things I have noticed is that there's a tendency, especially when the lockdown first started, for there to be almost a little bit of peer pressure on being like uber positive, and that I felt on the team calls, not just at Britvic, but generally on meetings I was having, and it struck me that in fact that's something to be a little bit aware of, that it's actually really important to recognize that sometimes we have a terrible day, like sometimes it's not working out, we're stressed because we're locked down or whatever, and or things might be difficult at work or at home or wherever, and actually I do think there's a little bit more responsibility on leaders in these times to be kind of making sure that it's okay for people to also, not always be 100% positive just because we're online. And that's a bit like a window that, like, people are sort of bottling up some of the things that they might be stressed about, and then sort of just kind of hiding that and sort of projecting a very positive image during a team meeting. And I think it's really important to also have those one-to-one calls and conversations, with your team, and make sure that they understand that it's actually okay to, sometimes not be okay. That's actually normal. And so having one-to-one conversations is, for me, as important as having those and as having those sort of team calls as well. That's my only sort of caveat to some of the hilarity, which is great, of doing the sort of fun stuff online. Yeah,
and I can really relate to what you're saying about you're giving a more human touch, because actually someone said to me, I feel more related to you now because I've seen the chaos in your house, and it makes you more human. So now I feel more safe because you always seem so perfectly organized at work. And I always thought I need to be perfect. I need to be managed and in control. And I was really ashamed of the chaos in my house. But then actually our communication manager asked me to write something about, he noticed that there were two sides on the story that were really struggling, the mothers with young children, and on the other side, the people who were really lonely. So he asked people to write blogs and provide pictures on their life during lockdown, and I provided him pictures of my daughter laying on top of my desk, my entire household being a chaos, and I got massive response from people saying like, oh, thank God you are doing this, because finally I feel normal. And it helped me connecting with other people as well. So I was really happy that I did not have to be perfect like that. And what we notice now is because it's starting to take a very, very long time now, this lockdown, is that we feel, and I noticed it in the chat as well, starting up new initiatives is really difficult. So my team is asked by the management, like, please give us ideas on how we can motivate people to keep going on, because this is going to take a long time in the future as well. And now we started a survey with people, and I asked Victoria to put it in the polls as well. We asked people like, what do you miss most about working in the office? And they all say the same thing. We miss the people. We miss the genuine, authentic contacts at the coffee machine or during the lunch break. And we made like we developed a 4 persona of the department that asked us for advice. And we said, actually, there is no one size fits all, because in our company, we have a lot of like small things to give people attentions. Like in the first week, we all got chocolates. And now today, actually, I got a package with a coffee in it and a name of someone in the company at random to contact, to give him a call. And somebody else is getting my name. And all those things are really nice. But I told management, like, there are people for who this is not working. This speaks to only a few people. And there are ways you can motivate and acknowledge people, but you need to adapt it to their personality. So we developed like something how people can determine.
Oh no.
Oh no, I feel like we're going to miss the punchline.
Yeah, it always happens at the worst possible time.
Someone's torn out the last page of the story.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Okay. I think we've lost Kinga as well.
Yeah, we lost both of them at the same time. That's unfortunate. Are there any questions in the chat whilst we're waiting?
Like actually what I believe Kirsten brought for virtual calls. He mentioned introvert people were shining, extrovert didn't feel in their comfort zone. Interesting thought. For me, it's a new insight. I've never looked at it like that. I would like to hear more from on that, or perhaps more perspective.
Yeah, Kirsten, if you're still there, do you have any? How do you feel that that's been coming through in your teams that you're working in? How do you see that coming up? Oh, Kirsten said me too.
Faster, Kirsten, faster! Come on.
No, we can add you. Does this work?
Oh,
have I just cut him off? No, look.
Here he is. Hey.
Hey, welcome to the panel.
Yeah,
Just, you know what? First of all, I just feel powerful now. Like,
because you got me in, right? I think it's so funny because we have a conference and then I have to type and in English. I mean, I'm German. Hello. I just
stage.
I heard from some clients from me from like conferences where some people really can't shine anymore. They're used like they have good suits and nice perfume and all the stuff, the extroverts. And now all the stuff they use to present themselves doesn't work anymore. So it's really focused on the things they say. And there are a lot of introverts. And I met someone who has a form of autism in a meeting, and she said, "I love this. I mean, that's a special person, but I love it because I really can get in contact with all the peoples. And if there are other people like being a little bit introvert, for some it helps because you can get faster in contact." I'm not sure how it's working with teams working together because I'm mostly in training situations where people come in and have to bring in themselves in the meeting. So I'm curious what's going on in other teams.
So Torsten, because we chatted earlier, and so you're right. So how have you seen companies changing like the way that they want to motivate people? Has it changed a lot in the work that you're doing with them, you know, in terms of changing the way they present themselves or changing the way they express themselves? Is that something you've noticed?
You mean in the COVID situation now?
Yes.
Yeah. Hard to tell because as I told you, I'm coming from business theater, going more now in consulting and change consulting. And most of the companies are not into business theater and events right now. They really try to deal with it and to build themselves up again. So I can't answer that to you. Okay. But it starts to experience or try things. So I'm really into this situation. I think in virtual conferences you can do the same stuff like in real conferences. It's possible, but you need to learn the rules. I mean, as I wrote, we all learned the rule to go in a room, sit on a table, being dressed, and talk with each other. Nobody would stand in one room and the other in the other room, and the next one in the garden, and is surprised that the meeting is not working. So we have to find what are the rules to go in the meetings. And as you said, Andrew, I like that a lot. What are we missing? So we're getting very efficient. Is that right? Efficient? Because we think, oh yeah, we have the meeting, the virtual meeting, we can use all the tools. But I always think what is missing. And the first thing I explain in the meetings is how you can chat with each other and talk about me. Because that's the stuff I'm meeting in big conferences, to have a look to my partner on the side and say, oh my God, it's boring, or whisper something, and we took it all away and we have to bring it back. So, but there were great ideas, like Joe had great ideas, and to bring it back in. So
I think a lot of people are WhatsApping between, you know, I see that a lot, Joe. The team meetings are going on. Joe, don't worry, this doesn't happen in your meetings, right? We never talk about you like this. You know, and there's like a lot of WhatsApping going on, which is exactly what you're talking about. It's the whispering in the ear of the person next to you, you know, like saying this is great. So we do use technology, I think.
We are doing it through chat.
Yeah. I think it's happening, or WhatsApp, or you know, something like that. So yeah, I think it's still going on.
Yeah.
But it's the same as happening in real meetings.
You know, in a Teams meeting, you can chat with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it also depends about culture, company culture. What I hear like consistently recurring in this discussion is like, if people feel they can connect in whatever way, either if it's a video call or it's a WhatsApp group or it's via the chat, that's what matters most. And you feel where the energy goes. If you're like getting like so many responses via WhatsApp, then go where the energy is in a WhatsApp group. If it's
Right.
like the video calls, or the other way around, you set up video calls and no one is joining anymore, or off their videos, then don't use it. Go where the energy is, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Like
Where people connect best in within your world, within your company culture, and yeah, that might be different for each company actually. But I love the ideas that are being shared in the chat as well, and yeah.
And I mean, yeah, Joe had great ideas. Like I'm using background pictures. Make the most crazy background picture. All the stuff that people really like to do if they are bored, and do all 60 minutes. Do a break, and a 1 minute break, and I force everyone to get on your legs and look out of the window, and nobody is allowed to be on the screen anymore. But you're not allowed to turn off the camera, so I can see that they really leave. So don't use the technique like the technique is. Yeah, you would like, yeah, but I can turn out the camera, turn off the camera, but no, let it on. Yeah, am I allowed to stay in this panel? I'm not sure. I'm not in this panel. I sneaked in.
Of course.
I think so, Kirsten. You've earned your space on the panel.
Meanwhile, Kinga, can we hear Kinga? I'm curious about her story.
I think she can't.
Are the sound issues resolved?
Yeah, no, I think Kinga doesn't.
Or should we add her to a WhatsApp group?
Are you actually hearing me in meanwhile?
I think we can hear her. It's a shame.
We can't hear you, Kinga.
She restarted the browser. So what do you want to ask Kinga? Or what might be her answer?
Well, I was curious. So thanks to Kirsten's introduction, of course, and I also saw her presentation last year, so I was curious about her whole story. But I'll follow
like about
later on.
I mean, we can use the time. What did you like about the presentation? I mean, there are a lot of people watching. We are here, and we can talk. So, what stick in your mind, Maritza?
What's stuck to my mind? Oh, it feels funny to actually say that when I know she's there and she can't respond to it. But it was the presentation back then was very much a concrete approach into how to engage people. And to drive things through, well, carefully prepared, of course, a change management plan, but also I remember she had a lot of fun facts and engaging people. It was very, very much focused on that. So I was kind of expecting some learnings from her in this call as well that related to that.
Mm-hmm.
Still curious, Kinga. I'll follow up with you after the call.
Michael's coming.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to be on the panel.
Oh,
I just wanted to be here, part of it. But seriously, this has been an amazing 2 hours. I have to congratulate Victoria and GE for this, and this panel that I've just arrived in. Thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun, and I love to see the honesty and the openness about our personal lives and challenges vis-a-vis work, and the fun. Sorry about some of my comments were a bit sort of attempts at humor, but yeah, I just want to thank you. I can leave as well now as well.
No, stay, and I'm not alone anymore.
I called him Jürgen just now. I think I met him networking, Torsten that is, and I said he looked like a thin, emaciated version of Jürgen Klopp.
So if you need for your next meeting a Jürgen Klopp lookalike.
He's actually the best man. For those that don't know, maybe Maritza and Kirsten don't know, but he's in some people's view the best football manager in the world. And anyway, so there we go. Nice to see you all.
So Kinga is not coming back, huh? But Maritza, did you use anything when you heard the speech of Kinga? Is there something you did in your company at Adidas?
Well,
I tried out.
I wouldn't I wouldn't credit or give all the credits to Kinga's presentation alone, because on this event there were a lot of interesting presentations where I took the learnings from, and we played that back in the team. So more generally speaking, and of course Kinga's presentation was actually part of that, absolutely. But more generally speaking, we have our regular team playback sessions, which I call breathing pauses, where we reflect, like, what are the learnings? We look cross industry as well, like what's happening in the world, and just taking a breathing pause. Are we still going in the right direction with our company? Where do we need to switch gears? Where do we need to fast pace or move slower, or move into a completely different direction, changing the goalposts? And it is presentations like Kinga's, like the ones that you gave in previous conferences, like the ones that through GE and many other events out there bring together that knowledge sharing and that experience. It's very inspiring. It's very much, I take it as learnings and as reflections of what are we doing, and how can I see where I can change myself, both on the personal level as well as on the team level. And I'm hoping everyone actually does that who's on this call, because yeah, I find it so inspiring.
Kinga says that's the way to go, Kirsten. I put post-its in the toilets and the coffee machines following the presentation.
I think my sound is...
Nice.
We heard you, Kinga. I think we heard you.
Or was it me that you heard?
Oh, might be.
I
don't know, but Kinga said in her presentation, she had this really interesting story about how they developed a character, Long John, and they did not realize that it was something else in English, a Long John. And I found it so inspirational that she shared also like her pitfalls. Because we had the same thing. We kept introducing things and people were looking at us like, what are you doing? And I really loved the suggestions she gave. Like we put up posters in the toilet, and then the HR department started talking to us like, what are you doing disturbing people in the toilet? That's a private place. And I was so inspired. I told my team, we need to start doing this. So we started, and we had this program about anti-money laundering and fraud. So we made a campaign about washing your hands white. And somebody said, you're racist. And I was like, Kenya had the same thing happening to her. We need to use this crisis. So it was really inspirational. So I was really looking forward to maybe the ideas they implemented during this crisis on how to handle things digitally, because the things they presented really gave us hands-on inspiration.
She just wrote, we posted, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the I'm sorry posters. We did it as well.
So
yeah.
I think we won't hear it today anymore.
What we are doing now, Kirsten, is we use memes for these as well. So we created our own Yammer community, and we use memes with a bit of sarcastic humor or irony towards ourselves. What are we doing? Yeah, that's how we translate it to the digital world on our side to respond to your question.
So we're in the last minute. What happens after this? We're all gone? Or?
Kirsten, do you do a wrap up? You're going to do a summary.
Wrap up. Oh my God, how do I summarize this?
3 words.
Well, thank you everybody for attending. It was one of the most lovely conferences I attended. The conclusion, more humanity in digital meetings helps, I think. And we are all looking forward to seeing each other in real life again and hearing about inspirational things happening in our change projects. So thank you everybody for joining the panel. And despite the technological problems.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's, by the way, that's like clapping from people who can't hear.
Yeah.
So it helps in virtual conferences.